welcome to Golden Blooded, everybody. And if you are a college football fan, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. That is all we do here every single day. And send gear to represent your team and yourself to Golden Blooded. I guarantee you, if you send it to me, I will put it in my background. Send your gear to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina 29657. You know, rankings shouldn't matter, and in a certain way they don't, especially this early in the year. But when you really think about it, they actually kind of do matter because it sets up ESPN Game Day. That's always a big deal. And it sets up for future polls. It matters where you're ranked now because it's going to set you up in the future of where you're going to be ranked then. That's the only way it makes a difference. Otherwise, we're just guessing. And that is definitely the case in the AP Top 25. So I wanted to point out the teams that should not be in the AP Top 25 right now, and the teams that should replace them, and the teams behind them that are on deck. There's 3 teams that I think absolutely has no business being in the AP Top 25, but because of their brand and the money-making capabilities, they are in the Top 25. The first team is number 25, Miami, the Hurricanes. And I've been high on Miami. If you've been watching Golden Blooded this year, I had them all the way up to number 5. But going on the road and losing to a bad Texas A&M, no, you're not a top 25 team. I'm sorry, you can't lose that game. And if you look at the stats, Miami dominated Texas A&M statistically. Had 200 yards more offense than Texas A&M. Had 11 more first downs than Texas A&M. I mean, they moved the ball at will at Texas A&M. But a muffed punt that led to a Texas A&M touchdown. Missed tackles, not being able to punch it in over the goal line. It all doomed Miami. Too many mistakes. Well, I'm sorry, that's not what a top 25 team does. Texas A&M is a bad team, especially offensively. They actually have a good defense, but they are terrible on offense. Miami should have beaten Texas A&M by 2 scores. What happens? They get beat 17-9. 17-9. No, you should not be ranked, Miami. The next team is number 23, Texas A&M. Yeah, the team that I was talking about Miami losing to. But Texas A&M lost to Appalachian State at home, and they have a terrible offense. That's a bad combo. Oh, but Golden Blooded, Appalachian State's pretty good. They almost beat North Carolina. Yeah, but it took a miracle Hail Mary for them to beat Troy. Appalachian State isn't that good. They're okay, but they're not that good. Texas A&M is a bad team. They are a terrible offense. They lost to Appalachian State at home. All that is a recipe for Texas A&M to not be ranked. And finally, the last team that I think absolutely should not be ranked, and that's number 20, Florida. They lost to Kentucky at home. Not only did they lose to Kentucky, they flat out got embarrassed. And Kentucky's only won in Gainesville like 1 or 2 times, so that's few and far between. And this year, Kentucky dominated Florida. And I know, Florida has a win over top 10 Utah in the first game of the year. I called that because it was a perfect recipe for an upset. First game of the year, the crowd was jacked up, intimidating atmosphere, and Utah was in field goal range. They were down by 3. It was basically a guaranteed field goal because it was a chip shot. So it was a field goal to tie it, go to overtime, or a touchdown to win it. What happens? Cameron Rising throws an inopportune interception in the end zone, and Florida wins the game. And that was a great win. But to bump Florida from 43rd to number 12, that's insane. No, I don't agree with that at all. Was it okay for them to rank them? Yes, I'm okay with that. But all the way up to number 12, no, that's stupid. And then the next week, they get dominated by Kentucky and get dropped down to 18. And then this past week, they barely beat a bad USF, and they dropped 2 more spots to number 20. I'm sorry, Florida should not be ranked. Their offense is not good. It's all a bunch of smokes and mirrors, and I expect Florida to go on the road and get absolutely dominated and tortured at Tennessee. Neyland Stadium is going to rock Florida this year. I have Tennessee winning by 20 in that game. All right, so those are 3 teams that I think absolutely should not be ranked at all. What about the teams that I think should be ranked? Well, the first one is, and this is a no-brainer, Washington State. They're 3-0 undefeated with wins over Idaho, who's FCS 24-17. That had me worried because Idaho is bad. But then they went on the road and beat number 19 Wisconsin 17-14. Then they beat Colorado State at home 38-7. So Washington State is looking like the good team that I was predicting them to be in the preseason. Now their offense does need some work. They're only averaging 26.3 points per game, which is 90th, but their defense is crazy good. They're only allowing 12.7 points per game, that's 19th. So they have a great defense, need to work on their offense, great wins. Washington State should be in the top 25. The next team undoubtedly should be in the AP top 25. That's Oregon State. They're also 3-0. Wins against Boise State at home, 34-17. They also go on the road and beat a good Fresno State, 35-32. Then they come back home and whoop up on Montana State, who's the FCS, 68-28. They're averaging 45.7 points per game. That's 13th. That's a great offense. They do need to work on their defense. They're allowing 25.7 points per game. That's 70th. But Oregon State has done what they need to do to get in the AP Top 25, especially if you compare their resumes against Miami, Texas A&M, and Florida. And finally, the last team that no doubt should be in the AP Top 25, and that's Kansas. They are 3-0 and they're looking good at it. Undefeated. First a blowout win against Tennessee Tech, who's FCS, 56-10. Then they go on the road and beat my West Virginia Mountaineers in overtime, 55-42. They follow that up by going on the road and absolutely blasting Houston, 48-30. Kansas is averaging 53 points per game. That's third in the nation. And they're allowing 27.3 points per game, which is 84th. Seems like they have a bad defense. But look at their offenses that they've played. West Virginia, who has the top 15 offense, and Houston, who has the top 25 offense. So that's not a bad defense for the offenses that they've played. They have the wins. They have the stats. They're undefeated. Kansas should be in the AP Top 25. No excuses. So those are the three teams that I think should absolutely replace Miami, Texas A&M, and Florida. Now the next teams that are on deck, first we have Florida State. They're 3-0. Wins over FCS Duquesne, 47-7. LSU in New Orleans, 24-23 off a blocked PAT. And then at Louisville, 35-31. They're averaging 35.3 points per game, which is 55th. And allowing 20.3 points per game, which is 49. So an okay offense and an okay defense. They're undefeated, great brand, decent road win against Louisville. I think Florida State should be ranked, but not over Washington State, Oregon State, or Kansas. Next team, Syracuse. They're also 3-0. Wins over Louisville, 31-7, at UConn, 48-14, and Purdue, 32-29. They're averaging 37 points per game, which is 43rd, and allowing just 16.7 points per game. That's 6th. Syracuse has a great defense. That's amazing. I think Syracuse should be considered to be in the AP Top 25. Next team is going to be Tulane. Yeah, Tulane. They're undefeated, 3-0. Wins over UMass, 42-10. FCS Alcorn State, 52-0. And then at Kansas State, 17-10. They're averaging 37 points per game, which is 44th, and allowing just 6.7 points per game. That's 6th. That's sick defense right there. Yes, Tulane should be in consideration to be in the AP Top 25. Next team, North Carolina. They're also 3-0. Wins over FCS Florida A&M, 56-24. At Appalachian State, 63-61, which is looking like a great win. What a shootout game that was. And then at Georgia State, 35-28. They're averaging 51.3 points per game. That's 6th. But they're allowing 37.7 points per game, which is 119th. North Carolina, you got to work on your defense if you want to contend for the ACC Coastal. But I would definitely have you in consideration in the AP Top 25 right now. And finally, Minnesota. They're also 3-0 undefeated. Wins over New Mexico State, 38-0. Western Illinois, FCS, 62-10. And Colorado, 49-7. So they really haven't played anybody, but they've dominated them. Averaging 49.7 points per game, that's 8th. And allowing 5.7 points per game, which is 5th. That's impressive, but once again, their competition not good at all. And that's why I have Minnesota at the bottom of this list. But keep your eyes out for Minnesota because they are a good team. Y'all let me know in the comments section, do you agree with me that Miami, Texas A&M, and Florida should not be ranked? And if you do, would you replace them with Washington State, Oregon State, and Kansas? Or would it be a combination of 3 other teams? That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.